All right, so the Quran and the secrets of Babylon. Very, very, very interesting video.
In Judaism,
the story of Babylon is actually quite interesting in on itself. So I want to hear. This is definitely going to be extra interesting to hear.
Christianity and Islam. There's a lot of overlap in the stories about Abraham in the Qur'an and Bible, but it is only the Qur'an that reveals knowledge about ancient Babylonia that until recently has remained hidden from mankind, lost in time. Jewish, Christian, and Islamic sources all place Abraham's birthplace in ancient Babylonia, the region where we find modern-day Iraq. This region worshipped a multitude of gods and goddesses. Of particular prominence in the pantheon were celestial bodies such as the stars and planets. Each city had a patron god, which they worshipped as their main benefactor and protector. The moon god Nana, symbolized by the crescent, was worshipped at Ur and Haran. Shamash, god of the sun, represented by the solar disk, was worshipped at Larsa and Separ. Venus, personified as the goddess Ishtar, was symbolized by...
Why is it that... Let me move that there. But why is it that these... There's always a sun god in like every single culture. Is that me? Or is that something that I've like noticed? There's like always a sun god in like every culture.
8-pointed star and worshipped at Uruk. According to Mesopotamian mythology, these three celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and Venus, formed an astral triad. Recent archaeological discoveries depict the special relationship between these deities. The stele of Ur-Nammu shows the sun and moon joined together. The Kuduru of King Melishipak depicts the astral triad in full. The Kuduru of Nebuchadnezzar shows the astral triad. The stele of Nabonidus also depicts the astral triad. The wide geographic distribution of these artifacts indicates that this astral triad was a prominent cult throughout the region.
So how does the Quran relate to this?
The Quran informs us about some very specific details with regards to the idols that Abraham's people worshipped.
This is my Lord. Okay, so like I said before, a lot of the cultures like worship the sun and even the moon actually, but especially the sun. I'm gonna let it finish here. Let me just hear.
We can see the Quran draws our attention to their worship of the sun, moon, and a third idol. Note the details provided about the third idol. So when the night covered him, he saw a star. But when it set, he said, I like not those that disappear. The word translated here as star is the Arabic word kawkab, which carries the meaning of celestial object and can be used to refer to a star or planet. The Quran tells us that at the onset of nightfall, this celestial object appeared for only a brief amount of time. This description of the third idol matches the characteristics of the goddess Ishtar, One of her names was the Evening Star because she personified Venus, a planet that appears for only a brief amount of time in the evening. We can see that the Qur'an's claims about the idolatry of Abraham's people is accurate in light of what we know historically about the cult of the astral triad.
You. Just you.
So, okay, yeah. Going back to what I wanted to say, just wanted to make sure he completed everything so that I could get a complete thought. Many cultures had the same idea. How do we know specifically that this was referring to, well, these people? Right? Though, really and truly, it would make sense that it would mean like the Middle East, because the Quran was like written in the Middle East, really and truly. And the reason why I said this is because, you know, people like to say like, oh, this is like God's word, the Quran is God's word, all that. And, you know, he's like saying like, oh yeah, we see over here that these people were worshiping the sun and moon, right? But I'm like, wait a minute, but everybody else is doing that, right? I'm just giving like food for thought, right? Now, it would still make sense if it was catered toward like these specific people, really and truly, just based on context. But that's still something noteworthy to think about.
Amazingly, such knowledge of ancient Mesopotamian religion was lost for thousands of years. It was recorded at temple sites such as the famous Ziggurat of Ur, which was buried deep beneath the desert sands. The temple was only rediscovered in the early 20th century, thanks to the excavation efforts of archaeologists such as Sir Leonard Woolley. Even the Sumerian language that these ancient artifacts were written in was unknown. It became a dead language around.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about this for a second. A lot of stuff, and I said this before, a lot of stuff is lost to time. And not a lot of stuff. 99% of what we know about history is lost to time. And this is like, a lot of people don't really seem to grasp this. Imagine 99% of your reality is missing from you. Because that's the reality. 99% of reality is lost. And as somebody who loves history, is a history buff, of course, all of you here are also probably most likely history buffs or somewhat are aware of history. History is something very delicate because history is something that we study so that we, like for example, don't repeat the same mistakes, or we could follow certain precedents. You know what I mean? Like a whole bunch of reasons why we study history. History affects the time now, our understanding of why things are the way that they are. And 99% of that is missing. Example, right? A lot of people love to question the scriptures. But the problem with that is that a lot of things that actually proves the scriptures, guess what? It's lost to time. So because this piece of history regarding the proof of the scriptures is lost to time, we got people today that are disregarding the scriptures. Space is another example too. But although space is something that I'm going to talk about in a different video. And it's really scary. It is really, really scary when you kind of think about it. 99% of reality is just gone forever. We will never figure it out. Meaning that there are certain things that we have misinterpreted because we are missing 99% of the context. Like, does that not send a shiver down your spine? Quite literally, life as you know it is a lie. And it's a lie in it as you don't know any of the real truth. You only know 1% of the truth of why things became the way that they did. Guys, 2,000 years is a long time. For example, when I was reacting to my history of Indo-Europeans, right? Or pre-Indo-Europeans actually, and their DNA. The guy pointed out a lot of people, when they learn this type of stuff, they don't seem to understand how long these time periods are. And that is very true. People today, they just think, 2,000 years just went by, here we are. But you don't seem to understand how long that is. It gets even more insane when you understand like humans have been around for way more than 2,000 years. It is a extraordinarily long time, and so much things have happened between them. To give you an idea, if you cannot imagine it in your head, I want you to think of 10 years ago. 10 years ago, right? You say 10 years ago, man, that was a hell of a long time, right? Now I want you to think 20 years ago, right? You say, oh gosh, that's a really long time. Now I want you to think 30, 40, 50, right? 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Yeah, you see how long that is now? Now I want you to think of 2,000 years. If you can't think of 2,000 years, just do what I did with every decade. Go back every decade, and you will realize how long 2,000 years actually is. And we are missing 99% of that information. It gets even worse because I saw someone talking about the fact that we you know how we're like in 2026, right? Like that's the official date. Someone said that is not the accurate date. Somebody said that we have lost the actual real accurate date of timeline, and that we're actually recording a wrong date, quite literally. And honestly, I would not be surprised. God knows what the actual real date of today is. Seriously. That's how severe this, like, and a lot of people really don't seem to sit down and think about that. Like, life as you know it is quite literally a lie. Let's continue.
On the 1st century, forgotten until the mid-19th century. In light of these facts, how could Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him?
And before I continue here, we also see like proof of like how things are lost with cities, bro. I want you to think of these like ancient cities, right? When these cities are found, they are unrecognizable. You look at these cities, the way how they're found, and you're like, what? A whole society was here? This used to be a whole capital of a whole bustling empire? It's insane, bro. If entire cities can quite literally just disappear, like without any trace to the naked eye at all, if a city can disappear like that, imagine everything else, bro. It's insane.
Have accessed such knowledge, given that he lived in the 7th century. The only source of knowledge about Abraham that would have been readily available would have been the Bible-based stories and Jewish legends in circulation. If we examine the Bible, we find that it's silent on such details. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River and worshipped other gods. We can see that it makes no mention of specific idols that were worshipped. They are simply referred to as other gods. Regarding the Jewish legends that predate the Qur'an, one of the stories found is as follows. And a voice came into his heart, saying, all the signs of the stars and the signs of the sun and moon are all under the Lord's control. While this account does reference the sun and moon, note how it mentions stars in the plural. We can see that Jewish legend has a general awareness of their worship of celestial objects, but it lacks the specifics of the astral triad in the Qur'an. In another Jewish legend about Abraham, we find mention of the worship of elemental gods. Behold, the fire is more worthy of honor than all things formed. But even more worthy of honor is the water, because it conquereth the fire. But even it I do not call God, because it is subjected to the earth. Nowhere does the Qur'an mention that Abraham's people worshipped the elements of fire, water, or earth. Now, if the Qur'an did copy from such an account, then it would have included the mention of these elements, but it never does. These examples make it apparent that Jewish legends were also not used as sources by the Qur'an. Now, it's important to point out that some of the deities did spread outside the region. For example, Ishtar was also worshipped in Arabia. However, she took on very different characteristics. She became the male deity Athtar, representing the god of thunderstorms, symbolized as an antelope. In Egypt, she was Astarte, the goddess of war, symbolized by a horse and chariot. These incarnations are radically different to their counterpart, Ishtar, the evening star.
Let's talk about this. Long time ago, I said I believe that all religions were originally the same, right? Now, if you binge watch my content, you hear me talk about this a lot. But this right here confirms everything that I believed. Now, why does this confirm it? If you're smart, you could probably tell what I'm about to say. Do you see how you have this one original religion here? Guys, look at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is right next to Iraq. But even though Saudi Arabia is right next to Iraq, we see that this religion here, right, got completely distorted into a completely different thing, right? We see that when the same exact religion goes to Egypt, and Egypt is also right next door as well, that this religion completely got distorted into something different. All of these at one point was the same religion, was the same belief, but it got completely distorted. And this is why I believe that at one point, there's no way that everyone didn't have the original religion to believe in, the actual religion to believe in, but it didn't get completely distorted. Now, for those of you who are new, like I said before, I came up with this theory because when I was reading about why slaves in Barbados decided to convert to Christianity, long story short, the slaves didn't have a problem converting to Christianity because Christianity was coincidentally similar to the religions that they were practicing in West Africa. And this is when I actually started to create this theory, number one. But if you've been watching me, you already know that. I'm just explaining this to the new people. But another reason why I also came up with this theory is because near-death experiences. Why do people get near-death experiences? We don't know. However, something interesting about near-death experiences in my research on near-death experiences is that based on what you believe in, your near-death experience is going to mirror that. If you're a Buddhist, your near-death experience is going to mirror the fact that you're a Buddhist. If you're a Muslim, your near-death experience is going to mirror the fact that you are a Muslim. If you're a Christian, your near-death experience is going to mirror the fact that you're a Christian. For some reason, all of these different types of religion, these people having these near-death experiences, it always matches whatever religion that they believe in. Now, I was trying to figure out and trying to rationalize this really and truly and think, why is it that this is the case? Why is it that every single near-death experiences, these people are having a spiritual experience, an out-of-body experience, but they always say that it was something about their religion. So I came up with two ideas on this. Number one, God is purposely doing that on purpose, right? God doesn't want to reveal too much information. Maybe. However, I came to another idea. Perhaps, really, that all religions in the world are related, right? All religions in the world, right? And this goes back to the other theory. This connects really, actually, I should say, to what I was saying. All religions at one point were the same. So because all these religions, right, that we have here were the same at one point, obviously they will still share characteristics. There is still some truth. Most likely every religion actually has some type of truth in it, but it's been distorted. There is a religion out there that actually has the complete truth. Now, obviously, I believe the Abrahamic religions are within that lane, but I'm not really here to debate on that. All I'm saying is that there is absolutely no way, and we see this right here with this example here, where we have this religion that started off in Iraq, but then it went to Saudi Arabia, turned into something different. And Saudi Arabia is next door. Egypt is also next door, and it turned into something completely different from the one in Egypt and the original in Iraq, right? So one religion turned into 3 different types of religions that completely are different. Now I want you to imagine that, but on a global scale. A global scale. And remember what I said earlier in the video. Time, people don't seem to understand how long time actually is. Like 2,000 years ago, for example, right? Now, 2,000 years ago, that's a hell of a long time. Now, I want you to think 4,000 years ago, right? Like these time periods where these religions were starting to take root. It's very, very, very long time. And the reason why I'm saying this is because that is more than enough time, right? Plus these people are spreading on a global scale. That is more than enough time for the original religion to get completely distorted and turn into all of these types of religions. Now, why am I saying this? Why is this so important? Because I always hear people who are non-believers, they love to joke about this and they love to use this as a trump card. Like, oh, there's all of these other religions, but they claim that they're the right one. Oh, which one should I believe in? Oh, if I don't believe in this one says that I'm not going to make it in the afterlife. Like, these people say that, oh, all these religions exist, and so it doesn't make sense how, any of them have any credibility. Well, guess what? If there was originally an original religion before everything got completely distorted, well, it answers that question and it solves that mystery of why is there so many religions today, all claiming that they're the right one. So, yeah, that's food for thought.
We can see that Ishtar had a chameleon-like quality. Her identity was constantly evolving, with her attributes, symbolism, and even gender differing from region to region. This would have made it difficult for Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to accurately pinpoint her identity in the context of Abraham.
Yeah.
In conclusion, the Qur'an is filled with stories about past nations, with its author consistently demonstrating accurate knowledge of the unseen at different times and places in history. This is not a quality of human beings, but rather the divine. The Qur'an proclaims that God Almighty Himself revealed such knowledge.
That
To learn
now, great video, excellent video. If you got any more videos like this, you want to hear my thoughts, my opinions, my takes, you can always comment in the comments below. As a suggestion, 99% of the videos on my channel are suggested videos, right? So with all that being said, thank you to the guy who decided to pay me to do this video. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. If you are an active viewer, consider becoming a member like our new gentleman who just became a member, right? I mean, it's only 99 cents a month, so the more money you do pay, the more types of videos I can do for you, and more requests and video quality and all that. But anyways, with all that being said, I got a lot to do here. I'm a very busy guy, so check out my other videos on Islam. I got too much at this point on my channel. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe again, and goodbye.